Hey everybody. I'm making this video just for those of you that it might be easier to learn how to navigate the resources that I referenced in this video. But first, this is what I want to emphasize for you. The burden of collecting consent for middle and high school students to complete the DESSA, we hope will be a little bit easier lift this year. Messaging has already been going out weekly from the district office for the past couple weeks. That will pause before fall break, but then resume again a couple weeks before the first rating window. Now, that first rating window begins October 21st and ends November 1st, if I'm remembering the dates correct. What that means is that at some point during that week, those students for whom we have consent to take the DESSA can complete that. At middle and high school, that is a student completed document or assessment online, and it's housed in the Aperture platform. Now, what we're talking about today on this video is really like, how do I track consent? How do I see who's gotten consent? A couple things to know. One, that messaging that's coming out automatically through Infinite Campus from the district level should only be sent to parents of students for whom we've not yet gotten consent. So if, for example, if I had a student that was a sophomore at Henry Clay and I'd given consent, then the following week I should not get that message again. That's the hope. And that's because they will that student will now be marked as having consent to Infinite Campus, which will tell the messaging system, this parent doesn't need it anymore. There's gonna be a few times where that's not gonna work, because if I don't sign that consent until late Wednesday night and the messaging is scheduled to go out again Thursday morning, it may not be up to date with those last minute consents. So just know that for the most part, that's gonna capture that. We have run into some issues where parents have been getting the message and clicking on the link, and they've been unable to open the link from their cell phone. Now, I have talked to parents of coworkers. Most of them have been able to open it, no issues, but there have been a few parents that we've gotten information from that they're struggling. I have connected with Infinite Campus, and they are trying to, or the district Infinite Campus office, they're trying to correct this. Hopefully it's been corrected. However, we are making other ways for getting consent possible. Number one, the counseling consent that mental health specialists, school social workers, school counselors are using for those students that they're providing ongoing counseling services for includes a line that says, I give consent for my kid to take the DESSA. So that is one way we can get consent. I'm going to share my screen and show you that document. All right, so this is that consent document that's being used for ongoing counseling services. And what I've highlighted here in yellow is the line that if initialed by a parent when they're giving this consent, goes ahead, it says, hey, my kid can take the DESSA, no problem. So that is one way. Another way that we can get consent is through printable DESSA forms. And so here I have all the links to our top languages and the forms that you can print. I'm going to open the English one, but you'll see here that you can click to the other languages as well. The English one that's coming up here and all of the others will force you to make a copy. And the reason is we don't want anyone to get in and edit the master file. So this gives you access to the master file. You can copy it, you can organize it yourself in your Google Drive or your school level Teams Drive. If you want to personalize this to say, dear Lafayette High School parent, student, parent, or guardian, and make it more specific to your school or program, that's fine. That's one of the reasons we're having this forced copy. What you would do, this is a printable document, is you can print this. This is a letter explaining what the DESSA is, but the most important part is here on page 2. That could be printed on the back of that letter, but if you're just with a parent or you're able to explain to parents at a family night or ball game or other event, and you don't need that letter, that's fine. It's this page, page 2, that is going to be most important. And that is where the parent actually signs for consent. That QR code takes parents to the DESSA FAQ website provided by Aperture. So it is in English. However, that QR code is on all of the other languages. Unfortunately, the DESSA hasn't published something that is a little more up to date. So I have typed out FAQs for those languages and had them translated. So hopefully that will be helpful. And that QR code takes them for the other languages to that. So that is the FAQ. Feel free to check that out. So what happens when a parent fills out that digital file that's coming to them through Infinite Campus is that in the student's IC record, it will be marked automatically somehow, computer magic marks that they have consent. For kids that we get this through other forms, such as this printable form or that counseling consent, we have to manually add them. And that is why we have created tracking systems for manually tracking those opt-ins. So in other words, I'm going to click here on Program Schools to expand that menu. And let's say that I have an Opportunity Middle College students that I'm working with. I would open that link. I will type the student's name, first, last, the date I received the consent, how I received the consent. The only reason for this is just if someone questioned it, you could say, hey, I got an email from the parent. Hey, I got the paper form. Hey, they filled out the counseling consent. So it's a drop-down menu of options. If you chose other, if there's some other way you got it, you'll click that and then you'll type in the notes how. Now, this is an important document for those folks who we get consent for through other means, because then we have to go into Infinite Campus to log their opt-in to say, hey, they're allowed. So these are those instructions. Here's something really important to understand. You don't have the rights as a mental health specialist, school social worker, school counselor, myself. We don't have the rights to update those listings in Infinite Campus. Only your registrar or school tech coordinator, STC, has the rights. So, excuse me, this gives directions on how to enter those paper forms. So Rainey Minikin's parents gave her consent. I would document it here. Then the registrar or STC would take this roster, follow these instructions to manually enter that Rainey has consent. Now, when it is time for the DESSA, they will also be able to pull a roster for you of all of the students for whom we have consent. They can run this report at any time. So if there's students that you really want to target and reach out to their families to ensure you get consent, you can run this report anytime. But they will be able to do this every day of the assessment window so that you can monitor and make sure that everyone for whom we have consent has the opt-in signed in one format or another. Now, the only ones that we have to document are the ones that we have received ourselves, either through the counseling consent, the paper form, or one other option, parents can email and say, I give consent for my daughter, Rainey Minikin, to complete the DESSA assessment. Signed, Linda Engel. That'd be my mom. So that's the 3 ways that we can get consent outside of the automated system. If we get any of those, we log it here and we share this with our STC or registrar. And once they've documented an IC following these instructions that Rainey Minikin has consent, then they are going to click here to say that I have the consent. and that it's been logged in IC, and we're done dealing with Rainey's consent form. I will now, the following day, I will appear on the roster for consent for the DESSA. We are going to talk more about this at our upcoming DESSA site lead trainings, but if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I know that this isn't always easy being the lead of this, and I really appreciate all that you're doing to help make this successful, helping us problem solve and work through all the things. So just know that you are appreciated and that I am here to support. Thanks so much. Bye.